So the next two skills that we're gonna be doing is gonna be our drive through and then our back through serpentines. So for that, don't worry about the measurements because we already got them painted on the ground. So you got these two L's, L shapes right here. So these gonna be our starts, where we start this drill at. Then you're gonna have two more down there, look exactly the same. Then right here in the middle, you're gonna have 3 cones, and the squares, the yellow squares is where they place that. So don't worry about the measurements, just place those 2 cones at each end, and then again 3 cones in the middle. So now we're gonna do drive through. So I'm gonna show you going forward first, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing going back. So once you actually understand how to do it going forward, going backwards is a whole lot easier. But that's just my opinion, but I think it is. So again, first thing we're gonna do is forward. Again, just making sure that my mirrors is set, because again, we need our mirrors for everything. So I'm gonna put my bus in, release my parking brake, put it in drive. So here we at these little starting cones, and it's how do I explain it? So when I explain this drill, I kind of like to use the metaphor of like moving a dresser or a couch through the door. You know, if somebody helping you move your furniture into another room, and you at the front end of the couch, you can't start turning as soon as your front end get through these doors, right? So let's say this cone, and this cone is a door, right? As soon as I get this front half of this bus through the door, I can't start going to my left, because eventually somewhere over here is gonna start scraping against the door. Same thing with a bus. Since this is a straight vehicle, remember, you want to drive the back of the bus. So it's very important. So drive the back of the bus. So first thing I'm gonna do, okay, I'm moving forward. So I'm just gonna keep straight until I see both of those cones at my rear tire. So now we at the rear, 2 cones at the rear tire. So let me zoom it back in. Rear tire right there, rear tire right there. So now I can pick a side that I want to go to. So I'm gonna go to my right first. So I know that I'm not gonna hit nothing back there, because again, I basically pulled my bus all the way through. So really the only thing you would have to worry about from this point is your tail swing, and that would be if we was closer to one side than the other. But since we centered, don't really got to worry about tail swing right now. So I'm gonna just turn my wheel just a little bit, start going to my right first, and then I'm gonna ask myself this question: how much do I have to turn my wheel in order for me not to hit this cone? So right about now, I know that I don't have to keep turning out to my right because I'm clear from this cone. So all I'm gonna do is straighten out my wheel and just keep going at this diagonal, and this cone is gonna go right past me. So from then, I'm gonna be looking in my right mirror, because that cone is gonna be my reference for me to start turning so that I can go through this cone. So I'm looking in my mirror, and if I zoom in, even though I'm not exactly at this cone yet, that cone is a little bit in front of my rear tire, but if you see the distance between that cone, this cone right here, and my bus, even if I was to turn my wheel all the way to the left, that cone would not hit my bus. So now I'm gonna just turn all the way to the left, and then you're gonna see how I'm gonna go right around this cone. So as I can see, I'm not gonna hit this cone. So now this is my next focus. All right, so I got a decent amount of space in between that cone and my bus, but I'm gonna ask myself the same question: how much do I need to turn this bus in order for me not to hit that cone? So now I see I can start straightening out my wheel, but not to go back to the right, but to go at an angle, because I don't need to keep going out to my left, because it's just gonna make that right turn back this way even harder. So I see I'm at a space where that cone gonna go right past my door. So I'm gonna keep going at this angle, but now I'm gonna be looking at my right mirror. So I'm gonna zoom it on in. Same thing, looking at this right mirror. But same thing. One thing you don't want to do though is get stuck looking at your mirror and then kind of lose track of where this cone is up here. So right now I see that that cone is right by my rear tire, so I'm gonna stop like I did. I'm gonna turn all the way to my right and then I'm gonna hold it. So as you can see, I'm gonna go right around that tire or right around that cone, no problem. So then again, our focus comes to this cone. And I'm gonna ask myself the same question. How much do I have to turn it for me to not hit this cone? I'll see that I got more than enough space. I don't have to keep going out to my right, so I'm gonna straighten out my wheel. And as you can see, that cone is going right down my bus. So same thing applies. I'm gonna keep going at this angle. I'm gonna be looking at my rear. I'm gonna be looking at my rear left tire, waiting until that cone gets right with my right lined up with my tire, and I'm gonna turn it back to the left. So I'm gonna turn my wheel to the left. But now we got two cones we gotta go through. So you see we're gonna have to go through at an angle. So when I'm always going through two obstacles, I use my left side as a reference because you sitting closer to your left anyways. It's just gonna make it easier. So I'm gonna start straightening out so I can go at this angle. Again, we see this cone right here. And then if we look out our window right there, so we see these two cones. So one thing I don't wanna do is turn my wheel back to the right immediately, because if I turn my wheel to the right, eventually I'm gonna hit that cone that's on my right side, because the back of my bus is still on the outside of that cone because I'm at a diagonal. So it's still on the opposite side of that cone. So I don't want to turn it back to the right yet. So again, we're gonna be looking at our mirrors. And then once I see that cone, so as you can kind of see, like I was saying, you see that yellow line? My rear of the bus is on the opposite side of that yellow line. So if I was to turn it to the right, I would eventually hit that cone. So again, keep going at this diagonal until you see that cone line up with the rear of your bus. And then from there, you'll go ahead and look at it at each side. It's kind of hard to see with the glare, but look at it from each side. You can see that it's pretty close to my rear tires. So now I can straighten out I can turn my wheel to get through those cones. So that's how you do forward serpentine.